Hey guys, we're here today with, I'm Adam Rogers, this is Brent McCall.
How you doing?
We're part of Metro Home Theater Group Tech Tips. We got a really cool subject for you guys today. Brent, if you'd like to go ahead and fill them in.
We get a tremendous amount of phone calls on issues with cable boxes, DirecTV receivers, and occasionally dish satellite receivers. Frequently what is happening is jobs that have worked perfectly for years are suddenly exhibiting an HDCP failure, odd color shifts, are just not syncing up at all with the television. And it took a little bit to figure this out. And to be honest with you, I got lucky because the very first time it really did happen was on one of my job sites, so I was able to track it down and figure out what was going on. What we're seeing when this happens, and he gets a ton of calls on this.
Yep, we do.
Is current failures due to firmware updates on satellite receivers and cable boxes. These devices are now requiring more current from the display backwards. If you look at this board right here, we're going to get into artwork, which is fun. This is your TV, our projector.
Guys, we're going to need a top-down shot.
This is your source, whatever it may be. And the way HDMI works is picture and sound go this way from the source to the display, but the voltage and current necessary to power the output of the source comes backwards down the HDMI cable from the television. What is happening is that the sources with firmware updates, they are raising the current that's required to properly output that source. Now, we cannot say for sure why they're doing this, but my guess is they're trying to force you out of hardware-based environments into an app-based ecosystem with your Apple TV, your Amazon Fire Stick, devices like this. And if your boxes quit working, you're going to call tech support and they're going to say, oh, hey, you know, if you use the Fire Stick and DirecTV now, or this week, AT&T now, because of the firmware update, it's going to work perfectly. That is what we think is happening. But there is a way around this. Adam?
So we're going to go ahead and jump right into our unboxing this morning, guys. What we've got going on is we know that this problem was happening. We brought out the AIO original. And so we have a really cool announcement because what happened, Brent? We ran out.
We ran out, and thanks to changes in manufacturing and international relations, the cost to build in America for the first time
it went
up.
Yeah, went up. And
went up a lot.
We've now, and so we ran out of the AIO original.
The ACVS.
The ACVS.
The VCT.
The VCT. All of these things were used
because of this problem.
To fix it. And so now, guys, if you're ready to roll, we'll go ahead and roll our unboxing segment.
Unboxing with the boy.
All right, guys. So we're back. So this is the new and improved AIO 2. So the HDM-AIO2 for anybody who's keeping track at home. We'll go ahead and there we are. Perfect. So this is our box, and I've already messed up the little corner here, but we'll go ahead and do some unboxing today. So we'll go ahead and pop this open, and you can see pretty straightforward. What we've really got in here is we've got the AIO2 itself.
Which is, for the first time, an aluminum chassis, so it's lighter and more durable.
That's right. We've got our power cord here for it as well.
Which, for the first time, includes the actual power supply.
Which is really nice.
Yes.
And then finally, a very important part, guys, we have this Phoenix connector. And we'll get into more detail about that here in a little bit. So just want to give you a nice, good view of everything here. So this is our AIO2. You can see here on the side, we've got our HDMI output and our DC 5-volt 1-amp input. On the other side, we've got our Phoenix connector that's actually going into a trigger for the
control system or any type of contact closure.
That's right. And then we've got our HDMI input. So from there, Brent, what else can we tell these people about this piece?
This product was developed primarily because of an issue at a large corporate headquarters in New York. They called me up one day and they were having issues with forcing resets in devices, so we manually modified our original DADs. Black box looks very similar to this. We went in and made some manual modifications to it so they could tie it into the control system. We realized that hot plug resets were becoming critical. With the hot plug reset, what you can do is when you transition from one source to another or one resolution to another, you can force, by interrupting the hot plug, a complete EDID renegotiation. That fixes a whole lot of problems. Resolution, bit rate, color depth, HDR, all that stuff is renegotiated. Now, 4K pushed us even further into this need. So we took the original DAD, made some changes to it, added the Phoenix plug so you could tie it right into your control system. Crestron, Control 4, AMX if you're an old guy, RTI, Universal, Savant, didn't matter. All these would tie right into this. And we'll go over a product we have in the event that you don't have one of those control systems toward the end of this broadcast.
So let's go ahead and jump in, Brent. We're going to assume that you have a control system, and we're going to jump in and talk more about where this actually goes in the system to fix the issue that people were having with the cable box.
Yes.
Causing an issue there. So we're going to switch back over to the whiteboard view, guys. We're going to do some art today. So we're going to have some fun.
Now, one of the things that this does, along with the hot plug reset, which is the Phoenix plug, is it also creates its own voltage and current for the TMDS feeds, and that's what powers the output of the source. It creates its own voltage and current for the 5 volt, and that's what tells the display the source is there. And it creates its own voltage and current for the hot plug, which is what tells the source that the display is there. So by doing all this, we are no longer reliant upon your existing hardware to properly support and power the interface. So inside of the AIO.
And guys, remember also, while we're going through this, if you have any questions, please go ahead and post them for us. We're going to try and answer them on the air while we're talking about all of this. So if you have anything, go ahead and post it now for us so we know what's going on.
Now I'm using TV because it's shorter than typing display, or sync. So the AIO basically will sit right off of the source. So you'll come with a short jumper from the source to the input of the AIO and then to the display. By doing this, we solve a number of problems. First off, now you do need to power this with the included wall wart.
That guy there?
Which you no longer have to provide your own. By doing this, we now have provided sufficient voltage and current from here backwards to the source to make sure it's properly powered. We've also provided, again, sufficient current and voltage for the hot plug. We've also sent proper 5 volt forward to make sure the TV's awake. But at the same time, we're also stripping capacitive loading on the DDC or EDID bus. This is the same thing that our original DAD, the Junior Plus, our SR1A, our SR1, and our original extenders all did this to fix EDID issues on the bus. Now, just so you know what that means is we're going to do a waveform here, and from here to here is called rise time. Rise time is very important because when the data is going high or low, it has to be in position at a very specific time. If it is not within the clock, it is ignored. Built into the AIO is a capacitive stripping device to make sure that the rise time is very fast. So you're not having to deal with any lagging problems in that, so you get a good solid sync and a good solid fix every time. So Junior's built in. The ACVS did all the voltage and current we were talking about, built in.
Right.
The hot plug interrupt, the VCT, built in. That's why we call it the AIO, which stands for all in one.
Covers everything.
Covers everything. So this will go right off of your source. This, guys, this is the best tool you can keep in your toolbox. Now, we can't discuss price, obviously, because this is going out over Facebook and YouTube.
Right.
But I can tell you there has been a dramatic price reduction
Very much
from
so.
the original to the brand new one, which is shipping second week of September.
A little bit and go back over a couple things.
Okay.
So what we're going to do, guys, is we're actually going to back up way back to the AIO2. So what we're going to do is we're going to start fresh on that. You guys, I believe you caught up with our unboxing already, but I'll say it one more time, guys. If you have any questions for us, ask them now. And then that way, while we're doing the unboxing and showing you guys how the system works, we can go ahead and actually have questions that we can answer live on the air. So when you can, go ahead and ask questions for us. We've got our chat here open so that we can watch and see what's going on. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get everyone caught up with what we were talking about before. So
yes,
we're going to back up here, and we're going to show you how the AIO is put into a system when you are trying to use it with a cable box that is giving you either an HDCP error or no video. And this is going to fix a lot of the problems. Of course, if you run into more problems that it doesn't fix right away, give us a call and we'll figure out what we need to do with it. So what we've got here, guys, you can go ahead and give us a top-down shot. We'll go ahead and do some more artwork for us today. So what Brent is doing here is we have the all-in-one. It's got the 5-volt hot plug control, the 5-volt trigger. It's got the ED/ID repair, as well as we're doing power insertion.
Mm-hmm. And this is what we're talking about today, is TMDS power insertion. Let me tell you why you guys are seeing this problem. Satellite receivers, cable boxes, any source, Blu-ray player, doesn't matter, gaming system, the output, the HDMI port on the output of that source does not power itself internally. It actually receives its voltage and current to operate from the next device in line. Whether it's the display, the AVR, the matrix, the switch, or the splitter, that next device is sending voltage and current backwards down the cable. What they did with DirecTV in particular is they raised, we think, the current requirement to a level that is higher than most devices can provide. It's not the HDMI specification that changed, it's the hardware spec that changed. When they did this, jobs that had been working for years suddenly failed. You know, you call up and they say, well, you can switch the component. Well, that doesn't solve your problem. Or we would recommend you update to our brand new DirecTV Now app-based ecosystem on a Fire Stick or Roku or an Apple TV. That's all well and good because they're trying to get out of the hardware business, we think anyway.
Right.
So this will fix an existing hardware-based system by providing its own voltage, its own current down the TMDS feeds. It will also provide its own voltage and current for the hot plug feed. It will also provide its own voltage and current for the 5-volt trigger. It will also do, and hence why it's called all-in-one, the capacitive stripping of the dad or the junior, which makes everything else just work better. And last but not least is the hot plug reset when you use the Phoenix plug tied to a control system. Now, very, 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 very important. If you are not using the hot plug reset, you must put a jumper in that Phoenix plug because otherwise you never see hot plug and the system never turns on.
Right.
And it could just be a little piece of Cat 5. It doesn't matter. Doesn't need to be much, just a little jumper in there.
So essentially, Brent, what's happening here, if we have that Phoenix connector open, that basically means we don't have an HDMI cable plugged in.
Right. And effectively, it's disconnected.
And so what we're doing at that point is we are connecting that and making the connection internally inside of the AIO2 to actually show the connection of the HDMI.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I'm not sure if we lost this during the Facebook fade out.
Yep.
Obviously, since this is on Facebook and YouTube, we're not going to discuss pricing. However, I can tell you that there was a dramatic and substantial price reduction
Very much so.
for the AIO2 versus the original AIO.
Yep.
And it's also lighter, aluminum chassis this time around, and everything's in line. We also, because of a phone call that he and I got, made sure that we redesigned it so that if you're using a powered product like our Install Bay detachable head shell fiber and you want to power the fiber cable at the source side, it is laid out so the power fits perfectly into this.
Exactly.
It was thank you, and this is from a dealer call saying, hey, I got an issue. We listened to you.
Yeah. So we made sure that everything works the way that it's supposed to, put everything where it's supposed to go so you don't run into troubles installing our products, especially with our products. But of course, we also did our best to make sure that when you're installing other companies' products, it also isn't going to cause any kind of trouble.
Now,
So.
by the way, this is a great problem fixer for any active cables, any fiber cables that you might be having current issues on, because it fixes the same problems with those that it does with the sources and displays. In fact, that portion is based on a tool we made 8 years ago called the ACVS, Active Cable Voltage Stabilizer, which was specifically designed for active cables to make sure they were properly powered. So that's where that portion came from.
So Brent, let's get back on track a little bit here. Let's go back and talk about how to fix the problem that you guys are running into with the cable boxes where you're getting HDCP errors. So the first thing that we're going to do, guys, is we're going to go ahead and get another top-down shot for us. So we've drawn here at the bottom, and hopefully you guys can see it on that as well. You should be able to. We've got our TV and our source, and of course we were talking before about how the source output is actually powered by the TV's input.
Yes. So yes, the source is sending video forward to the TV.
Correct.
But the TV is sending voltage and current backwards down the same video feeds to the source. And that is what powers the output of your satellite receiver, your cable box, your DVD player, or your gaming console.
Now this piece goes right in line
at the source.
At the source. So we're going to cut this connection here. And instead, we're going to go out of the source with your HDMI connection to the input of the AIO2.
Yes, sir.
And then from the output of the AIO2, you're going to go back to your HDMI cable that you already had in place.
It is also very
the way to the
important to use the included power supply.
That's right.
So that this has proper voltage and current to do its job.
Exactly.
Which is why now it's included.
Yeah, exactly. So make sure you guys use the included power supply. If for some reason you need another one, give us a call. So with that, just make sure you've got that connected there. Now, of course, like we said before, you want to make sure that if you are only using this to fix this problem here, you want to make sure that you have a jumper in that trigger, the Phoenix connector trigger.
Yes.
Or else you won't have an HDMI connection to be able to pass all the way through.
The whole purpose of that Phoenix plug trigger is for all practical purposes, when that is interrupted, the cable has been unplugged. When it's reconnected, it's starting over fresh, and it really is a tremendous problem solver.
And you guys will remember also, a lot of times you'll call in and we'll say, hey, you know, do me a favor, unplug the HDMI cable, let it sit for like 5 seconds and plug it back in. That's what we're testing for, to see if this issue here, the trigger,
is the repair.
Is going to be the repair for it. So keep that in mind in your future endeavors when you guys are out in the field. If you run into an issue where you think there's some kind of HDMI issues where when you first turn the system on it works, or if you unplug the HDMI cable and plug it back in, that's when it starts working. This is probably going to be the fix for that. But either way, give us a call. We're happy to help out in situations like that to make sure that we have the correct thing for it.
With the price reduction, this is absolutely something you do need to keep in your toolbox. I'm here to tell you guys, this will save your butt.
Yeah. So yeah, very much so. With the price coming down on it, you guys will remember how expensive it was before. With the price reduction, it is now definitely one of the things that becomes more of a truck item. So we definitely recommend keeping it on the truck, having it there with you. That way, if something does happen, you can go ahead and have that available to you.
And don't have one in your truck that you used on Tuesday and forgot to reorder, and you're on the job on Thursday and you can't make the job work.
Yep.
Had that call yesterday.
Yeah, I know exactly that one. So from there, guys, this basically, let's kind of go into detail about what this is doing, because I think we lost that in the fall on that.
We're going to discuss all the individual components of the AIO. Did we also lose the IR-Kit CCUS in the process?
We did, yes. So this is actually a good point to talk about that. So guys, what we have here as well, and we'll do another top-down shot, guys. So this is our IR-Kit CCUS. And what this is that if you don't have a control system in place that has some kind of contact closure on it to where you can actually control the trigger on the AIO2, this is actually just a standard IR extender,
block.
Yeah, a connecting block or extender block that we have included the learning capabilities to control a built-in contact closure.
A double throw single pole relay. This means you can take any standard remote, television OEM remote, cable box remote, satellite remote, and teach 2 codes into this as open and close. Now, it's actually A close and B close. In the old days, we would have called it NO and NC, normally open, normally closed. But because the relay can go to either pole, whenever one is closed is the one that's working. So in this scenario, for example, I have B close and common connected to the AIO. So if you need to do a reset, you just teach the A close code and the B close code into this, and again, you can use the TV remote. Select like star and pound or 2 buttons you don't normally use, hit A close, then hit B close again, and you've forced a reset. It's that simple.
Right, and also, guys, when you're using it with a control system, the same idea is in place. So with Control Forward, if you guys are familiar with it, or even Crestron or anything else that has a contact
RTI.
closure, what you're going to do is very simply, when you switch over to the input that needs to have, or any other input, is really the safest bet. Whenever you switch one source to another, put in there for your macros to go ahead and open that contact closure and then close it again every time that you make the switch.
Speeds everything up.
Make sure that everything stays in line. Make sure that it renegotiates each time. It does speed things up, especially because it does have that EDID
repair tool.
Repair tool built into it. Pardon me.
Capacitive stripping.
That's what it is. Thank you. And so that does make things go much, much, much quicker.
Now, because this is a double throw relay, you can actually put 2 AIOs on this. And here's why you would use this. And we got a lot of calls on this one. Guys that have projectors and flat panels in a job, they don't work because if either one of them, if they're both turned on, there's a conflict in EDID, even on a dual output system. So by having this double throw relay, only one of these can be hot at a time. It's impossible for both of these devices to be active at the same time. So if you're using this AIO to a projector and this one to a flat panel, when this one's turned on, the flat panel for all practical purposes is physically disconnected from the system, and vice versa. It is a great solution. And Adam has a question.
We do. So Jonathan Lane is asking,
Hey, Jonathan.
when is this shipping?
This is shipping, I'm sorry you missed that part in
Yep.
the Facebook failure. It should be shipping the second week of September, I believe.
Right. So right at CEDIA is the plan for everything to be shipping.
Yes.
But
The winner
the winner for today's best question asked, and again, that's why we're asking for you guys to ask us some questions,
gets one early.
gets one early. So you guys can win it before you can buy it at this point.
And we're happy to take your money.
Yeah. So go ahead. Keep those questions rolling in, guys.
And
The
I
best
would
question will win
pre-order.
the AIO2.
I would pre-order these. We maxed out manufacturing on the first run, but it is not as big as you would like it to be.
Yeah.
So a pre-order is not a bad idea.
Yeah. So a lot of you guys that are having issues that have already called in recently that have had the issues with the cable boxes, and we've said, really sorry, we're all sold out at the moment of what fixes this. It's coming. Yeah, it'll be here really soon.
And it's
so you
real.
guys can actually, yeah, it's real. So you guys will be able to go ahead and order
And it's
that for
DPL
that.
certified, and it's 4K, and most importantly, I love this part, because we have built it correctly from the beginning. It is already 24 gigabits per second, guys. It is 4 high-speed channels at 6 gigs per channel out of the box.
Right.
So you are ready to move into HDMI 2.1 and 8K with this product day one.
That's right. So guys, keep the questions rolling in. We're really looking for someone to give this away to is really what we're trying to do on that. So Brent, what are some other kind of maybe not uncommon, but some other areas that this
thing?
AIO2 could
Well,
actually
let's
fit?
look at, on a lot of displays we see issues with correct hot plug voltage and current return. Particularly on some of the off-brand televisions, where if you have a longer cable run or you're going through a matrix, there may not be sufficient current to keep the system alive. This makes sure that the hot plug stays at 5 volts, 4.7 actually, and sufficient current. Same thing on the trigger forward. There's a lot going on in that bus. There's 5 volts leaving the source to the display. There's voltage from the display back to the source to let the source know the display is there. There's TMDS voltage to make sure that the source is properly output. And then there's also voltage and current on the EDID carrier. All of that is handled by the AIO, plus the stripping of the capacitive loading. So guys that have used the Junior Plus, or the DAD all know about that feature, which makes everything breathe easier inside of the low-speed EDID or DDC bus.
Brent, we've actually got a really good question.
Okay.
This is Jason. Jason is asking, he says he has a customer that has 2 exact TVs.
Yes.
Same style cable box. Now, Jason, is it the same style cable box or the same model cable box? I'll keep asking the question, but go ahead and post that for me if you would. He says it's the same style cable box, but only one TV has
Firmware
the issue.
update.
Firmware update.
Yep.
So normally in this situation, if it's the same model cable box, they're not always going to push the firmware update to every single cable box, even inside your own home, let alone inside the same city, inside the same state, inside the same county, however it works out. We first noticed the problem happening, I believe it was the Northeast and also in the Texas area. Yep. And so we first started noticing the problem there. So when you guys exact same setup on both, yes. Okay, thanks, Jason.
Firmware.
Yep, firmware. It's honestly, it's probably the firmware setup. Let us know.
It will
also,
catch up to the other one.
Yeah, they will. It'll probably happen, or it might not. I mean, honestly, even inside the manufacturing of the TVs,
Yes.
some
And there's the other thing.
times.
Not as often, but there are variances within boards and capabilities. And you also have to look at the environment. If one of the boxes is in an area where it gets warmer, the thermal overload on the circuit board can cause deformation of the circuit board, and you will get failures because of that.
Right. Now, Jed is actually asking, how about lightning damaged TV inputs? Any chance it will restore some of them?
No.
No,
Because
unfortunately.
that's probably not the the basic connection points, that's the chip cooked
Right.
or the board cooked.
Right. So this, in that situation, when you run into a lightning damaged TV or a surge damaged TV caused by the cable companies and not keeping up with everything, unfortunately, this isn't going to really restore anything like that. You're actually going to be having to replace the actual HDMI board inside the display, or you'll have to replace the HDMI or the whole TV itself. So when something like that happens, unfortunately, there's not really anything other than the manufacturer that's able to actually fix it. However, last week we were talking about a piece that we had. We were talking about this rail system here, but on the rail system, we actually have our HDM SP2, which is a surge protector. And what these will do here is these actually will allow you to
Clamp up to 8,500 volts
exactly. Now, of
down
course,
all channels, all rails of
Yeah.
the HDMI interface.
so the TMDS lines, the TMDS feeds, which are of course the TMDS is your actual
The video feeds.
Video feeds. You've got your slow data, your EDID or HDCP data. That's all going to be saved.
5-volt trigger, hot plug, all of this is protected by this.
Right. So, but of course, guys, one other thing to note with that, if your cable company for your client or for yourself, if they're having issues with grounding outside the house and they're sending errant voltage into the house,
This will not fix
this
it.
will not fix that because that's an over voltage. It's not a surge. So, in those situations, what we want to do is just let you guys know this is really for surges. If you're getting spikes and surges, if you guys are noticing that you're getting errant voltages, or if you're running into inputs on receivers or inputs on TVs going out over time, it's probably your cable company, unfortunately, not having a good grounding for the house or for something out on the pole
The neighborhood
somewhere else.
system.
And so, unfortunately, this doesn't do that.
But we are working on it.
We are, and so keep an eye on the horizon for a fix for that because we are actually getting more and more calls about that problem. So
Now,
let's see
one
what
more
else we
thing
got.
to notice, this form factor will be going away in the next 3 months and will become an inline, so you don't need a jumper cable,
Right.
like the Junior Plus.
Right. So we are making that a whole lot easier for you guys. So you'll be able to actually go in and have it'll go directly into your source or into the display.
Correct.
Which you can put it on either side for the SP2.
Yes.
We're getting a little off track. We're talking about a completely different product now, but that's okay. So the SP2, the SP3,
Three.
when it comes out.
Because it's multi-directional, does not matter.
Yep.
If you have a Balun system, you probably won't even run it on either side of the Balun system. Next question, young man.
Okay, so let's see what we have going on here. Lightning damage, exactly. Let's see, limited quantity delivered next week. Thanks, Jesse. Here we go. Jonathan Lane is asking,
Again.
would this solve issues with Apple TV and LG displays?
Yes, it will.
Yes, it will.
Yes, it will.
So, as you guys know, if you have to deal with it a lot, what we have going on here, of course, is Apple TVs with LG displays. Unfortunately, there's some kind of incompatibility there. And this does fix that problem. We have tested it here with the LG display that we
tested
had
it
brought
in
in for.
DPO Labs
Test-
and it tested it extensively in the field.
Yes, and
And
so
at LG facilities in both California and New Jersey.
exactly. So yes, this does fix that problem. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Terry. Or Tara. Pardon me if I'm saying your name wrong. Let's see. I know HDMI specs no shorter than 2 meter cable. Can we use a 5 meter between the source and the EIO? Should we use a 2 meter? Okay. So another one from Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan, by the way, for tuning in for us.
Jonathan's working for his AIO
I
today.
think he is. So he's saying he says the HDMI specs say no shorter than 2 meter cable. Can we use a 1/2 meter cable between the source and the AIO, or
Yes.
should we use a 2 meter cable?
Okay, here's the reason. It's the HDMI spec does not say 2 meter. Some of the manufacturers recommend 2 meter because they have a very hot input.
Right.
And the problem with a hot input is you can overdrive it. So suddenly, it's just like overgaining a microphone, as we know from trying to set up here today. that
Right.
You can overdrive a mic and it suddenly just becomes fuzz.
We were doing a mic check for our guys, and unfortunately,
I'm loud.
may have blew out John's ears.
Yeah, I'm a little loud.
We have fun.
But, yes, now, one of the nice things about this is right dead center of where you want the voltage and current to be. So you can use a shorter cable with it, absolutely.
Yeah. In fact, I would recommend it. It's a little bit of a cleaner setup overall anyway.
Less is more.
And, especially if you're doing a rack system, which don't look at my wire rack system over here. And by the way, whoever mentioned about the wire management and stuff, I'm watching you, okay? This is a working environment, so, okay, guys. So, but anyways, yeah, I recommend the shorter one anyways. It's just a cleaner setup. But, of course, it all depends on what your system needs. It depends on what your build is going to need. So if you need to do a 2-meter cable, go for it. If you can do a shorter one, go for that.
When you look at shorter cables, typically they're smaller gauge also to make them more flexible. That smaller gauge will bleed content, will bleed current and voltage off of it because it's smaller gauge versus this. The fatter the wire, the less loss. I think we're about done with our, at least we're caught up.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, I'm Brent.
I'm Adam. Guys, keep watching on our and keep the questions going. Keep watching our Facebook. Keep watching our YouTube account. Because of the Facebook failure, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that everything's kind of wrapped up into a nice, neat package for you guys, and we'll upload it again for you. So again, I'm Adam Rogers.
Brent McCall, thank you for dropping by one more time for Tech Tips with Metro Home Theater.
Bye, guys.
By the way, don't forget CEDIA booth 1338.
That's right. Bye, guys.